Welcome to the Fashion Photography Show. I'm so excited about today's guest. Rita is an incredible Latvian photographer living in Norway, and I have been following her for a really long time over on Instagram, and we've talked on the DMs loads, and I've been really wanting to do more interviews in the last few months. So I reached out to Rita a little while ago and said, would you be interested in coming on the show? And she said yes. So here we go. Rita is a fashion photographer who primarily shoots on location with flash. She is also really talented when it comes to social media. She shares all of the information about how she got started, which wasn't that long ago, her journey so far, her tips and tricks for social media, and what's inspiring her at the moment. I really hope you enjoy listening and watching. Hi, Rita.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so excited to be getting you on the podcast. I've been following you on Instagram for ages and we've chatted loads in like DMs and stuff. So I was like, I want to start doing more interviews again. And you were the first person that came to mind. So I thought I'd get you on and have a little chat about your journey so far. So could you introduce yourself to everyone first?
Yes, so first of all, I would love to say that I truly feel honored to be here because I've been listening to Olivia's podcast religiously since the beginning of my journey. And to be here as a guest, it honestly feels a little surreal. Yes, so thank you for
Yourself. You
everything
did it
that you
yourself.
do.
Thank you.
But yeah, my name is Rita and I'm a photographer. I currently live in Norway, but I'm originally from Latvia. And yeah, I think this is going to be kind of like a short segment because from the moment that I picked up camera to now, it's been just a little over 2 years. So not a lot of time has passed and I'm still going through the journey. But yeah, so basically 2.5 years ago, we moved to Norway with my boyfriend because he got a job offer here. And it was super exciting, but honestly, it was also a little bit lonely at the time because I didn't have any friends here and I didn't know anyone. At the moment, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life as well. So when I moved here, I was kind of in the midst of searching for a hobby or something like that. And also, I think I should mention that we live near a town that's very small. And by small, I mean it's 60,000 people. So it's like super small. There's not a lot of activities to do here, except if you are into hiking, which sometimes it's fun, but not all the time. And yeah, so I just decided to buy a camera. And at first I thought that I'm just gonna, take photos of mountains and the beautiful locations and everything. And then slowly but surely, I started taking photos of my friends, and that was really nice. And I think I realized that quite early on that I want to try and do this professionally. So I just really dived into the topic of photography. I learned everything. I think I took like a little course on lighting and styling and everything, like not styling, but the use of the camera, just like a basic course. And yes, and then slowly but surely, I realized that the photography is the way for me to integrate into the society here as well, because I basically used it as a cheat code for getting friends. I was just DMing like random people that I thought were cool and just, offering them to make some photos for them. And then somehow along the way, I think it was a year ago maybe, I got in touch with a friend of my friend who was a model. And she offered me to do a test shoot for her. And I was like, what's that? Yeah. And so we just kind of messed around and did some photos. And then after that, I think I did a lot of research on like test shoots and fashion photography because I was the kind of the person who just wanted, to do things properly before I do them. And yeah, I just starting to learn a lot more about fashion photography and editorial photography or model shoots. And a lot more models started to approach me as well. And that's just, yeah, and the rest of is history.
That's amazing. And I completely relate to like using the camera to make your friends because I 100% did that. I met my best friend in the world, because years and years and years ago, she's a web designer and she needed some like headshots done, and she was part of this networking group that I was in. I didn't know anyone where I was living, so I was like, "Well, I'll do some headshots for you if you do like a logo for me," because I needed a logo. So we went on this like walk, did her photos, and we became best friends. You know, cameras don't just take photos, they make friendships. Grateful for
It is a
them.
cheat code.
It really is, yeah. And funny fact, like I actually use this podcast as my cheat code for like meeting people that I really wanted to connect with. Because I'm like, oh, I have an excuse to speak to them.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
very smart.
There you go, start a podcast, guys, and you can have an excuse to meet all the people you want to talk to.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you've started working with some clients as well. And the reason I really wanted to get you on is because I think there's a misconception that starting a career in fashion photography has to take like a decade and it has to take a really long time. And I don't actually know how old you are.
I'm 25.
Yeah, so you're really young, and it like shows that you can do stuff super quickly. Like if you're dedicated and you do this work and you know what you like, do the research and really think hard about what you want to do. Like I truly think that you're proof that it's possible to get something done quickly. And also, you live in a part of the world which is traditionally not thought of as like a high fashion capital, but you're making it work. And you're not just working with fashion clients, you're working with photography clients, and like you're doing sort of collaborations and stuff as well, which I think is also really interesting. But yeah, so tell us how you got those first few clients.
I think it was a mix of everything. It was a mix of pitching
Mm-hmm.
actually as well, because I think I got my first like a smaller brand around this area because I wrote to them and I said basically, hey, I'm a photographer here. I can take photos for you guys. And then we met up with the owner and we talked through it. And to this day, honestly, one of my favorite photos ever taken. Yeah. So that was really fun. I wouldn't say that I'm a professional at pitching because I think I have a long way to go. And I also just wanted to say that I think it is, I don't want to discourage anyone, but I think it's also important to take your time and rush, but at the same time, not rush to the goal because it's not going to happen overnight. And I'm still in my journey and that's okay. And I think the fact that I made peace with it just, opened the doors even wider, actually. Because at first I remember I was like, I want to do this very quickly. Like, I have a plan, I will do this. And, the things just were not working because I was so impatient. And I think when I just slowed down and I decided to focus on a fewer things, it actually made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and how I got those first few clients, it was pitching, but I think also a major thing was social media that I started, and I'm actually very grateful that I did it. Yeah, then there's a little bit of networking involved, but again, since I live in a very remote area, not a lot of networking can be done, but it can be done through social media.
Exactly. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk a lot about social media because you've definitely got stuff to say on that for sure. You also don't speak Norwegian, do you? Or do you speak Norwegian?
I speak Norwegian. I don't speak it fluently. I'm still learning, but I do speak some Norwegian.
Amazing, because it's also like you've got a lot of stuff going against you in many ways. Like you move to a new place in a different country, like the language is a barrier for many people, and I think that you're really just a good example to so many people who are like, Rita can do it, I can do it too. Like there's you absolutely anyone can make it happen. It's just having a clear vision in your head and like you said, moving forward, always making steps forward, but also realizing that this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like I'm still always learning more about pitching myself. I'm still always learning more about marketing and the industry is shifting and things are changing and the deliveries we need to give to clients is changing. So it's an ever evolving beast and being okay with it, being a bit fluid and slow and fast and kind of different paces, I think is really important. So I'm glad you mentioned
Absolutely.
that.
And I also wanted to say, I think there you can really find the benefits of your own situation. So you just have to look for it. For example, even though I don't live in a big city, but a huge benefit for me is having these beautiful locations that I can use. And it's just, you have to look for these advantages that you have.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I get so many messages from photographers who are like, "Oh, I live in the middle of nowhere," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you must have scenery around you or locations around you that the big brands that are based in the big cities don't have access to. So use them. Like, make that a huge selling point." That's what I did, and that's what you're doing, and I think that's
Hmm.
amazing. And yeah, like when I see your photos, I'm like, wow, I want to go there. Like it looks amazing. So if I was a brand, I'd be like, yeah, I want my shots done by those mountains and those lakes. It looks amazing.
Absolutely.
What's your journey look like creatively? Like, how do you feel your work has evolved from, and obviously you said it's not been that long since you first picked up a camera. How does your work look different to when you first picked it up and started?
I actually was thinking about this because you obviously sent some guidelines of what we are going to talk about.
Hmm.
And it's so hard to describe it in words
Yeah.
because I think you can really see that visually. But I think for me,
It's okay if you don't know.
no, no, I actually thought of the fact that my work has become a lot, like, it narrowed down, if that makes sense. And I stopped focusing on so many things at a time.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, what brought me to the current visual look that I have now in my photos.
Absolutely. That is so pivotal and so key. And would you say like you stumbled on it because you loved it and then you were like, oh, I love doing this, and then you went all in on it? Or was it a matter of this is working, I'm going to keep going on this thing?
I think it was a combination of both of those things, but it was actually me just forcing myself to stop and focus at a one thing at a time, because at some point I got so overwhelmed with all of the information and all of the advice that other people give you, and a bunch of different techniques and ways that you can make your photos. Honestly, it became a little bit too much for
Yeah.
me. So I quickly realized that, okay, I am in no rush here. I need to make those reps. I need to put in the reps and I need to move forward, but I need to do it in a bit of a more structured way to not overwhelm myself. And I think it was a combination of these two things. That one, it really resonated with my audience on social media. And I think there is different sides on how you can look at this topic. I don't think that you should chase an algorithm, but I also think that a lot of the times you will feel it intuitively that it's something that you want to do as well, and that it's resonating with your audience. Because at the same time, I don't feel that you should be doing something that is interesting only for you.
Yeah,
So
100%. Yeah,
you
you
have
gotta,
to find a balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I love that. And yeah, if anyone's not seen your work before, I guess I'll describe it and then you tell me what you think of my description. But I'd say it's like you pretty much just shoot solely with flash on location, um, with an on-camera flash in particular, and you have a very distinctive look. And I can't even really describe how the images look, but they are, every time I see a shot, I know it's you. And I remember seeing you do the first time you did it. And it was like something clicked for you, and I could just see that you were like, "Oh, this is really working." And what you say about social media, that's just reinforcing the feedback that you probably felt yourself, that this is good. And I get the same thing. Like if I feel like I've done something that I really love and then I put it online and it gets really strong feedback, it's like it's even more of a hint that this is the right direction. So how did you first decide to shoot in that way? Like what was it that got you picking up that flash? Because so many photographers, especially photographers who shoot on location and they were early on in their careers, are terrified of flash. It's the biggest thing I get questions about.
Yes, I actually remember that time very well. And it was a bit random, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because I had a flash for a long time. Because in my mind, you could only use flash inside when it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how most of the photographers do it. But at the same time, from the beginning of my photography, I don't know why, but I instantly fell in love with using sun as my backlight,
Mm-hmm.
because it gives you this dreamy kind of separation from the subject. And I was doing that before using Flash, but I was so, how do I say that? I was so annoyed that afterwards in the post, because when you shoot as sun as your backlight, you have to underexpose everything and then you have to bring the subject back and the colors back. And I was so annoyed doing that all the time. And so one time I was actually, I think it was paid shoot for a model, but I decided that I don't know why I brought a flash with me. And in my mind, that just felt kind of logical because I have this backlight, but she's dark. So maybe I can use a flash to brighten her up.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. That was like so random. And I'm not super original with this technique. Like a lot of photographers have been doing that for a while, but I don't know, maybe not a lot of them were really emphasizing this part. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It's a technique that's used a lot, but it's something that sometimes people do and then they don't stick with it. And I think the reason that it's become so clear that that's become your style, like it's your thing. You do that. And when you have a thing, that's how you become recognizable. And now I can look at your work if it pops up on anywhere and I'm like, oh, Rita shot that. I know that Rita shot that. And that is what you want. That is the goal as a
That's
photographer
really
is for
cool to hear.
yeah, that's what you want. Is you want someone to be able to look at your work and say that, so and so did that. And it's happened to me multiple times throughout my career where someone's messaged me and been like, "Oh, I saw this and I thought it was shot by you," and then it turns out it was, and I'm like, "Yes, that's all you ever want to hear." So, did you ever, when you were starting, when you first took like those shots, were there ever any moments where you like tried different things and they didn't work? Did you have any moments of doubt? Like, what was the thinking process when you first went out with that flash?
Absolutely. I still have shoots where I get home and I'm like, you know what? This doesn't really feel like what I wanted to do. So I think in that sense, I've really evolved emotionally, I think, as a photographer as well, because I stopped looking at those as kind of fails and more of as a learning experience, because I remember like some shoots when I went also outside with a flash and it didn't really work the way I wanted it, and I was so upset. And I remember going to my boyfriend and saying like, "Oh my God, do you think these look okay? Like, can I actually send these to the clients? I think they're so bad." And he was like, "What are you worrying about? These are okay." But for me, then I think it's actually not healthy because you're just making yourself feel bad about what you do. But the irony here is if you want to look at your work and think of ways how you can improve it, like pretty much always. So you can get just like one shot that is amazing and you're happy with it. But then you can think of, okay, I don't really like these ones. What can I do better next time? And I think this is just like, it brings, how can I say this? I think it just makes your career lasting. Whereas if you just think badly about yourself all the time, what's the point?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. What would you say to someone who is curious about picking up a flash for the first time or trying a new technique that they've never done before, but they're a little bit nervous about it?
Just do it. I mean, I get this question a lot in my DMs as well. Like, how do I start using a flash? What settings should I use? What should I do? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? You just have to take your flash, put it on the camera, and just go for it. Just
Yeah.
even take your friend and don't do it for the money. Just go outside and experiment with it. And also at the same time, I don't understand what's the big fuss about it because I started using my flash in TTL mode, which is basically an automated
Pretty much
setting.
auto for flash, yeah.
Yeah, it's auto setting for flash. And the first, I think, maybe 10 posts in my Instagram feed that are shot with a flash are with TTL mode. So you don't even have to learn the settings. You just literally have to put on the flash.
Yeah, yeah, and see if you like it, see if you resonate. It's like, and then experimenting with holding the flash in a different spot or trying different angles and because you can put diffusers on flashes and on camera flashes and all kinds of stuff. So, um, I think that your advice on is I totally agree. You just have to go out and try and like test the stuff. And even if it's grabbing the nearest person to you, your mum, your dad, your partner, your dog, or your cat, doesn't matter. Just like try. And that is the best way to learn because I get the same questions like, oh, are you going to do a course on lighting? And I'm like, no, because there's so many other people doing it way better than I can. And also, I just think the best way to learn and anything technical is to just practice. You just have to go through that messy stage where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then just like press the buttons until they work.
Yeah. And I also would say don't be afraid of failing because you don't have to put all of those photos in your portfolio. You don't have to even show them online. Like it's okay. It's okay to fail and it's okay to experiment. And I think also a lot of people that are messaging me are saying, oh, I'm going to use a flash for the first time. Do you have any tips? And I'm like, just experiment with it because I'm not there with you to guide you. I don't know what kind of conditions you're shooting in. I don't know if you're shooting outside or inside. I can't really help you. At some point, it becomes very intuitively, but I think it's like, when you learn to drive a car, especially if you're driving with a stick, you just focus on steering the car and then you kind of focus on shifting the gears. And then at some point, you actually just start noticing the signs. But then after a year, you're just driving and you're not thinking about it. So it's the same process with photography.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good analogy. I've never thought to describe it that way, but that is perfect. Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't even think about the buttons on my camera anymore or where the dials are. It's primarily why I've never switched from Nikon because I'm like, why would I? I know where everything works. I don't have to think about it. So yeah, just get out there and try the things. So my next question is, how do you find you balance? And this might be something you just do intuitively, but how are you balancing the location you're in with the lighting that you're using? Like, how are you making those two things work together so harmoniously?
Yeah, I think that that's something that I do pretty much intuitively now. But I think for me, I always try to make it look natural. So, for example, if I'm using sun as my backlight, for some photos, if I'm going for a more dramatic look, I will make the subject pop a little bit more. But at the same time, I think I primarily use flash to balance out the light so it doesn't feel too overwhelming. And so for me, if the raw photo actually looks natural and very evenly lit, that's a good starting point.
Yeah. And I think that's lovely because there's so many ways you could use it. You could make it look unnatural. You could make it look natural. You could and you could use off camera flash, which is in a completely different area and have a completely different effect. So again, it goes back to like you have a look and a style that you've developed that works for your work, and that will probably develop and change over the years. I can guarantee you it will. So yeah, how would you actually describe your style now? Like if you were just talking to someone and they were like, what kind of work do you do? They've never seen it. Well, how would you describe it?
I think I would say I would love to say that my work is colorful and bright and feminine and soft, but at the same time, it has this like
I'd say it's got some power. It's powerful.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like it. You're welcome. No, I like it. And I really want to talk about social media because we've already sort of slightly touched on it, but you've really leaned into social media using Reels. Are you doing TikTok as well, or are you just posting on Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, you're posting on TikTok, like doing all the things. When did you start taking it seriously, and what made you go for it with the social media?
I started to take it seriously pretty early on, but at the same time, I got burnt out pretty fast because I think I was making reels and I'm just gonna say reels because for the most part I'm repurposing like
Yeah.
all of the Instagram content on TikTok. But I started making reels pretty early on, and I was convinced that I have to put out a lot of content in order to grow my page. And it wasn't working out. because I would be consistent for, let's say, 3 weeks, and then I would just disappear for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I would have to recover. I would also just rush to the shoots to make something to put online, and it
Yeah.
wasn't working out for me. And I would say that the consistency part that everyone hears all the time online, that's true. But I think that you need to find the consistency that works for you. So, for example, for me, it's now putting out 2 to 3 pieces of content, whether it's posts or videos, a week. And I know that it doesn't overwhelm me. I know that I can do it. I can, pull some photos from my archives in case I don't have any content. And I think that's what works really well for me. Yes. And wait, but the question was,
What made you like go for it? Like, why did you decide to do it?
yes. So it was actually also because of the place where I live. I knew that I couldn't go out and network with people and just show my work. So I decided that the weapon that we all have in 21st century is social media. And that's how you can put yourself out there.
Amazing. No, I love that. And what have you found has been the like form of content or reels that has performed the best? Like, is it the behind the scenes? Is it actually posting the images? Like, what do you see as working best?
It actually varies because I know a lot of people say that, oh, there's no point in posting your photos because they don't get a lot of engagement. Some of my photos have brought me the most amount of followers. So that actually works, I think. But I also, when I'm talking about this, I would like to point out that most of the time the photos that really pop off and are the ones where there's some kind of idea and they're actually interesting to look at. So I wouldn't encourage you to just put out random photos and hope that the algorithm will make them go viral. But some little tips that I can give you is post at least, I would say, 5 to 10 photos, like make a carousel. Is that
Yeah.
how it's
Yeah, that's
called?
what it's called.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because people like to, swipe and see a lot of images. Also, I think this is my recipe for getting the engagement, but I always try to put like the first line in this carousel of like, which photo is your favorite?
I've
Or
seen this.
yeah, but it actually works because it's an easy question, and people, if describe what feeling are you getting out of these photos, they might not leave a comment because it's hard. But just telling your favorite photo, I mean, that's easy, and then it makes them look at the photos even more.
Yeah,
And I
it's
really
made
think
me
it
look
works.
through, like I've been through
Yeah.
it and been like, oh, which one is my favorite? And then I go through and like find the one. So I 100%. So such a good idea.
Yeah, I think this is my best tip so far.
Love that. And it's you're right, it's simple, but it's simple for you, it's simple for the viewer as well. And I think that's the key. Do you batch stuff in advance? Do you schedule things? Do you post the moment? Like, how are you doing that?
I would love to batch content, but I don't do that. Because I don't know, I'm such a bad planner. So I just, sometimes I do film, for example, 2 to 3 videos if they're like talking videos, which by the way also do better than just showing the behind the scenes and final result. Those I can film like 2 or 3 at the same time. But I don't really know my content strategy, and I'm not saying that it's working. It's really overwhelming.
I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think that everyone's different. Like for me, I'll go through periods where I plan everything in advance, and I have other periods where I kind of go in the moment a bit more. I do plan stuff to a certain extent, otherwise I would flounder under all of my things. But I think that yeah, it's nice to have a bit of both, a little bit of freedom to post
Yeah,
what feels good in the moment. I didn't actually put this in the questions I was going to ask you, but how are you filming your videos?
my iPhone.
On a tripod, on location, that it?
It could be a tripod, it could be, against the window.
Yeah.
But on location lately, I've started to bring a friend with me to help me with the videos because I think I've been feeling that I'm more ready to, upgrade my content just a little bit because I have the resources and the time now to do that. And I also think it would be interesting for my audience to see not just some clips of the behind the scenes, but I've tried to actually do like a speaking video of me posing a model. And I think for me, at least, it's very interesting to watch when others do that. So I want to do that more. But I would say that until now, I was just filming at home. And if I had some, behind the scenes content, it was mainly just either me filming between taking photos.
Shots, yeah.
Yeah, or just setting up a phone on the ground, or somebody came along and I just asked them to hold the phone.
Yeah, same with me. Like, I now have all kinds of special things. Like, I bought the Osmo Pocket that follows you around, and that's great. It's like a little camera that's handheld. Yeah, it's really fun. It's not cheap. It was an
Okay.
investment, but
Yeah.
it's really good. It has like a microphone, and you can like activate it so it'll follow you around on set. So I just plonk down a tripod, and it'll like literally follow me as I'm shooting, which is fun.
That's
But
so
before
cool.
that, yeah, it's really cool. I'll send you a link. It's really good. But then the other thing, you can buy tripods for phones so cheaply, and I take one on set with me whenever I go on set, and I'll just, in between shots like you do, just move the tripod around and get different angles, and then that's all my behind the scenes content sorted. And clients love seeing this. They love to see you on set. And I've booked so many things and had so many clients say to me like, oh yeah, we watched loads of your videos on your Instagram and saw what it's like to be on set with you, and that was really interesting for us to see. So we wanted to speak to you more, and then that's how the bookings kind of come around. So I do think that I'm always going to say pitching first, because I just think that that's the best way to build a solid relationship. But being active on social media, if you enjoy it, is such a benefit and can do so much and bring so much. So I think you're doing it perfectly, and I think you're a really big inspiration to anyone who's like wondering how they can do it and get booked. And
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand, like both of them.
yeah, they do. They're like a beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
What do you do to find the balance between creating content and thinking about stuff that you want to create as content for Instagram, for networking, for building that audience, versus being creative and just doing something because it's fun and you want to do it? Or is there no difference? It's just the same?
That's actually a serious question. I love that because I have been, as I mentioned before, I've been burnt out from social media a lot of the times. And I think it was because I was trying to chase the algorithm. And I think it's very easy, especially when you're listening to a lot of these TikTok and Instagram gurus on how to do your social media. And, it all comes from, of course, wanting to get better and wanting to evolve and grow your account. And all of these are understandably good reasons to do that. But at the same time, I'm just thinking that lately I've started to realize that you need to take care of yourself as well. And the more you spend time on Instagram and TikTok, it's not necessarily helping you to grow. So reasonable if you're spending the time just looking for trending sounds, or if you or if you actually create the content or post it or schedule it, that's okay. But I think I've realized that at some point you just start scrolling for 2, 3, 4 hours just to find inspiration. But at the same time, you're not finding it, and it just makes you even more depressed. So I personally actually have switched off the notifications from Instagram because I just don't think that it's helping me to grow my account while I'm spending time on there. That is not working. It is better to just sit down and plan your shoot, or, make something in CapCut that's completely another app, and to spend your time that way. And I think also it's need to get really comfortable with the fact that the social media is not a social media is not determining how good of an artist you are, because some of my best work has gotten very few views and very few likes and very few engagement. And some of the photos that I were not necessarily that proud of just popped off. So, and I don't know, are the viewer the one to judge, the algorithm or me? I don't know. So I think it's very important to, even though it's nice to have fun on there, but don't really focus on the views and engagement so much. And it can be really hard because once you get a video that pops up and has a lot of views, you just want to continue with the momentum and just post just random things. But it's not a long-term game for sure.
No.
And I think the earlier on you realize that you don't need to have like 100,000 followers to, get the opportunities and put your work out there. You kind of start to accept the slow journey. And I think it's a longer one.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree, and I think that's an amazing point. Final few questions to sort of round it off. What are you personally feeling inspired by right now? Visually, creatively, personally, what's inspiring you?
I think a lot, everything. Personally, I'm very inspired by movies. And lately, I've been really inspired by just colors and color
Mm-hmm.
combinations, which is super weird for me because I always thought that you need some kind of very specific visual example to,
Mm-hmm.
recreate or try to recreate. But lately, I've been so inspired by just putting together different colors and see how that works. So that's a huge one for me. And I also really like to, it's a guilty pleasure of mine to look at the movies from a photographer's perspective and kind of
Mm.
see how the color grade is done, what are the movements in the movie. And I think it's very hard for me to sometimes switch off while watching it. But I am a real sucker for like visually aesthetic movies. I don't
Yeah.
even need to know the story. I just want this aesthetic pleasure.
I have two
Across
recommendations for
my
you
eyes.
then. Have you watched the movie Conclave? It came out.
No.
I think it won a bunch of BAFTAs. It came out recently. We watched it on Amazon Prime. We rented it. It's a story about like the Pope dying in the Vatican, and they have to all the priests lock themselves in the Vatican for weeks to try and find the new Pope and vote on it. The cinematography is amazing.
How is it called?
Conclave, Conclave.
I'm just gonna write it down.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes for everyone else to watch it as well, because it was honestly fantastic. And the other recommendation is, at least in the UK, it's just come out on Netflix. It's called 1883. It's a TV show. It's the prequel series to Yellowstone. And I've still not watched Yellowstone. We're currently watching 1923, and 1883, we watched it before it actually came out on Netflix. It is set in like the United States in 1883, and it's about the pilgrims, or not the pilgrims, the pioneers, sorry, seeing the United States with wagons, basically. Again, story is fantastic. The cinematography is out of this world. It's basically all shot during golden hour, constantly. It is stunning. And it's just cowboys and horses, which I love.
Oh, I'm so excited to watch them. I
Yeah,
think
really, really recommend.
my favorite movies to watch are definitely Poor Things.
I've not seen that yet.
No, you need to see it. Wow, the colors,
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Okay. All right. It's been on the list of things to do for a while, so I will definitely get on that. Great recommendations. Is there something you're currently working on behind the scenes that you're excited about?
Well, a lot, probably not. I don't know how much of it I can share, but I am working on getting some deals closed with about some collaborations as well. And I'm also going to be, I don't know if I can consider myself to be a teacher because I don't know how well I am at explaining things, but a photographer that I've been also really inspired from the beginning of my journey asked me to come as a speaker on their platform as well. So
Amazing.
that's insane.
That's amazing.
That's
Oh,
just
amazing. Well done.
Yeah, that feels so unreal. And also, since I haven't really thought about getting into, an educator role, I think this is like super new for me, but it is exciting. And I think also, um, I would love to say a little note to photographers that don't live in huge cities and that feel that they don't have the opportunities. I think you should kind of let go of the expectations on how it's going to turn out for you. And I
100%.
think that's what I've done recently, because the opportunities can come from the most unexpected, in most unexpected ways and places. So I think it's very, very nice to still stay open to like do social media, because you don't know what it can bring you. Pitch yourself, because you don't know what kind of clients you're going to have, and go to the events not expecting something, but rather just be open to everything.
Yeah, I love that advice. I completely agree. You never know. If you put yourself out there, things that you never would have dreamt of could come your way. And it's definitely happened to me. It's happening to you, and that's great. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you were first starting out, what would it be?
I would just say be patient and put in your reps and go out, plan the shoots, do the things. Don't just sit there expecting something. I have a personal love-hate relationship with word manifesting, because I think sometimes it can be used in a way where you're just like sitting and praying and hoping that the things will work out. But the truth is that you need to put in the work. And of course, you need to expect great things to happen to you, because I really do feel like if you put in the work and if you're being decent kind of a person, great things will come to you. So yeah, but I would say just be patient, don't rush. It's not gonna bring you it's not gonna bring you enjoyment if you rush things. Stay excited about what you do, and if that means slowing down, absolutely, that's okay.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that advice. Thank you so much. Where can everyone come and see you? Obviously, I'll add links and everything to all the places, but where can everyone come and follow you?
Probably Instagram and TikTok if you would like. I would be happy to have you there.
Yay, amazing. Well, I'll add your handle, I'll add your website, I'll add everything into the show notes. But thank you so much for giving your time to everyone. Really appreciate it, and it's been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And there we go. That is my interview with Rita all done. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you have anyone else that you would love me to interview, please do let me know. You can DM me on Instagram. It's at Olivia Bossert Education. I'm always looking for people to interview and new photographers to discover, to share their journeys. I also have plenty of plans to bring on stylists, makeup artists, producers, art directors, all kinds of people in the future. So that is coming soon. If you are interested in improving your social media usage as a fashion photographer, I have just released a brand new free download called What to Post When You Have Nothing to Share. And it is 30 days of social media prompts for fashion photographers specifically, designed to help you attract more clients and not more photographers to your page. So if you would like to download that, it's very simple. Just head to the description below or the show notes on the podcast and click and sign up there. And I will see you in the next episode very soon. Bye.